really crucial things that Tim's just, said there, and essentially is, even if you're not recruiting people, what you are doing is you're recruiting people to use your buildings. So how are you valuing and how are you communicating the value of the space that you're trying to recruit people in to use? And if you are in recruitment, you've definitely got some challenges on hand. But don't worry, because next up, we've got the boss of IWFM, Linda Hausmanis, my boss at IWFM. She's like, what? And she's going to talk about how today leadership, development training is more important than ever. So welcome, Linda.
So I'm Linda Hausmanis, CEO of the Institute of Workplace and Facilities Management. I will be reading from a script because there's lots of facts and figures in here which I'm going to refer to. I'm delighted to be here today. I think it's been a brilliant, it's a fantastic agenda, and thank you, David and Elliot, for inviting me to take part today. And it's great to be amongst so many friendly faces, so much energy and creativity. When you asked me to speak, you presented me with a very helpful title. However, it should surprise nobody here that someone in my position should jump at the chance to focus on training and qualifications and press home their importance. So I could actually just say, get on and do your qualifications or sit down, but that is not the point. So I want to use my session and pull back the focus to look at skills more generally and training more broadly, to explore today's operating context, what is changing, what is wrong, and what might be done. And I'm afraid there is, and I'm not normally a sort of doomster and what have you, and I'm sort of a very sort of proud British citizen, but I am seriously concerned about some of the facts I'm going to disclose to you today. So you'll notice a little supplement from me to the title of my talk, which I've called Reasons and Remedies. I offer 5 reasons for their importance and 7, hopefully, for what can be done. But I say there is some stark reality here in the facts and figures. So back in 2020, when mid-lockdown, writer and technology commentator Tamandra Harkness spoke at our conference about VUCA, however you like to say it. Good job on saying that before lunch. Concept at IWFM's virtual conference, as we had to hold it as such in those days. It was easy to think of those turbulent times would pass. And whilst the pandemic did pass, the concept of VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity and ambiguity, is more relevant than ever, describing the situation of constant, unpredictable change that has become the norm in every sphere of our lives, not least in industry and business. And I certainly echo your earlier comments just now about being a sort of CEO and you're just drenched in stuff every day, telling you how sort of one single platform is going to bring joy to your life and get me onto the golf course on a Friday, because I thought that's what CEOs did. I can assure you they don't. Well, I don't. Anyway, as we're hearing today, automation and technologies such as AI with large language models and machine learning are leading to profound structural shifts in the workforce. This slide draws on work by the National Foundation for Educational Research, which has been looking at the changing economy and what that actually means for skills. As the economy continues to evolve into a service economy and as technology rapidly advances, the structure of the labour market will, in little over a decade from now, have changed substantially. The projections suggest significant changes in the skills required to succeed in the future labour market of 2035. I just want to draw on findings from the latest Global FM Impact Survey of 2023, which has just been published. And this was undertaken by Frost & Sullivan. And this is what they state, quote, "The UK FM market is among the world's most developed, sophisticated, complex and competitive. It has a long, well-developed history and culture of outsourcing, including in the public sector where PPP and PFI initiatives have been commonplace for several decades. At 26.2%, the United Kingdom has the highest penetration rate for integrated facilities management contracts of any single country globally. The integrated facilities management penetration rate is forecast to reach 28.2% by 2026, so just 2 years away. I'm still in the quote. Digital technologies proliferation will bring new business models to the FM market as in other regions. Successful suppliers must leverage new business models such as anything as a service to drive efficiency. High growth areas such as energy management and sustainability management are increasingly important in the United Kingdom. An opportunity exists for FM suppliers to highlight these services in their portfolio. End of quotes. But my challenge is, to each and every one of us, is how on earth are companies going to take advantage of those opportunities without addressing some, with a sense of urgency, the woeful lack of skills. I've been in the sort of skills industry, so to speak, for over 30 years. I know, I don't look it. Over 30 years. And time again, a government department, a minister will commission somebody to go and do a report, and out comes a report, and it's much spoken about, etc., and it's always a woeful lack of skills. Right at the beginning of the day, for those who are here, Simone stood up and sort of talked about the Harvard Business School review and said there are a lot of people in work who have got a raft of skills, but they're not being used. Instead of that, they're doing drudgery and procedural work. So where are you in your organisations? Have you got skilled workforce, but you just don't know them? You just don't know what they're capable of? Or is it seriously a case of actually you have got a workforce, but they do not possess the skills, and what to do about it? Right. Demographic time bomb. Here we go again. These changes will be amplified by other mega trends. We are facing a demographic time bomb, and we have been referencing this now for certainly over 12 years, as far as I can remember. And this is not just in facilities management, this is across every single sector of society. Rates of employment are dropping among the over 50s, not me. Population is ageing overall, not me. In the next 25 years, as more people are projected to leave the workforce than are expected to enter it, the total workforce, which is around about 31 million today, will fall by 1 million, and key skills will go too. As these shifts take place and technology takes over the programmable, predictable and repeatable, the skills needed in the future are changing. And here are the 6 most essential skills, employment skills, for the coming decades, and which have been identified by the National Foundation for Educational Research, which is collaboration, creative thinking, communication, information data literacy, problem solving and decision making, organising, planning and prioritising. Now, when you look at those, you think, and how does a workplace really enable that, really enable those skills to develop? Or are companies happy for people to sit at home at their kitchen tables, in their bedrooms, etc.? And if that is the workplace strategy that you have, then how are you going to make sure that those skills actually can be developed and enhanced and embedded and lived day in, day out? Told you it'd be a laugh a minute. I was also very interested to see this research by the Department for Education and the Skills and Productivity Board, who in 2022 commissioned qualitative research looking for changing skills needs, focused on how skills need will change in 4 priority areas: health and science and technology, management and skilled trades. Over the next 5 to 10 years. They saw digital literacy, understanding standards and legislation, risk management and EDI awareness to be significantly in demand. And I would say that these map very, very closely to the skills that we are seeing highly relevant in our profession today. And we go on. McKinsey's, I told you there's lots of research here, the insight brings with it a warning. So research by McKinsey suggests that UK companies will need to transition up to 1/3 of their workforces into new roles or improved skill levels by 2030. There's not many years between now and 2030. So it also finds that by the next decade, 2/3 of the UK workforce, which is about 20 million people, could lack basic digital skills, and more than 10 million people will be underskilled in leadership, communication and decision making. I'll repeat that, just in case people are busy writing that down. 10 million people underskilled in leadership, communication and decision making. And they're the core skills that we need to sort of make the world a better place, organisations, etc. Sleepwalking into skills stagnation. I think, in actual fact, I think we've sleptwalked into it, and I think we are absolutely on the decline. So research by the Learning and Work Institute has found that employer training has fallen in the last decade, and this is holding back prosperity and fairness in the UK. And let's look at that more closely. British productivity, our ability to produce more from a given number of resources, has been flatlining for 15 years. Since the recession of 2008, or I should say the previous recession, because apparently we're now in another one, as a former chief economist at the Bank of England, it's safe to say that Andy Haldane, now CEO of the RSA, knows a thing or two about what makes our organisations and our economy productive. The reasons for the UK productivity plateau are not straightforward. In a recent paper for the RSA, he identifies two contributory factors: the slow adaptation of innovation and a skills deficit amongst workers. And those deficits are acute in both old and young. So this is not just a case of the old people need to move over and let the young people come in, because there's deficiency in both spectrums. So we are a proud nation, this is Andy Haldane, we're a proud nation for innovation, he argues, but it typically fails because of the lack of skills, management and technical skills specifically. Research by the Learning at Work Institute has found that training spent per employee in the UK has fallen 28% in real terms since 2005, bringing it down to less than half the EU average. And the proportion of people getting training at work has fallen 14% in the same period. It also finds that this data hides big inequalities. People with degree-level qualifications are 3 times more likely to get training at work as those with no qualifications. You've got to be very, very careful here. Everybody, anybody who's got any influence in their organisations or your client base, etc., because everybody should have a chance to have a good job, a fair job, and a job that they're sort of well recompensed with. I'm going to intersect here, because I go back to a piece of research I used to do when I was Director of Professional Development at the Institute. I used to take great pride in interviewing people after they got their single piece of A4 paper from the Institute, our logo, their name on it, a qualification and my signature. I used to ask them about their motivation. What did it mean for them? Who encouraged them, nagged them into undertaking a qualification? Was it self-motivation? Was it their boss? Or was it a job they'd seen advertised? And one of the requirements was a qualification. And I always remember speaking to Ryan, and he took IWFM Level 3 qualification diploma. And that's for low-level management, supervisory level people. And I spoke to Ryan. He said, I'm just going to shut the door on my office. And he said, as I'm talking to you, he said, on the wall opposite me is that certificate that you sent me. He said, and so I asked him about the motivation, what drove him to do this? And he said, I didn't really like school very much. He said, in actual fact, he said, I was pretty much kicked out. He said, I was told I was no good, I would amount to nothing in life. And if anybody has got anybody in their family who's had one of those teenagers who's had that said to them, it hurts. And so when he got kicked out of school, he went home. And he told the people at his family what the school had said. And the family said, well, it's true. You are a complete waste of space and you will amount to nothing. Just go down to a local building site and see if you can carry bricks and see how you get on there and try not to drop them. Anyway, he got himself into an agency, a bit of temp work, etc., and ended up in a solicitor's firm in Dublin. And like most people who end up in FM, etc., you start on the reception, you start ordering the paper, and you start ordering this, and you start looking after that. And most charming young man. And he heard about the institute, he heard about the qualifications. And he thought, I want to have a go. And the day he got his certificate and he got his car and he drove to his school and he found that teacher and he held it up, he said, I do have worth and I will amount to something. So that to me is why it is so important that we do not just keep on looking at the people who have already got a degree. It is brilliant, that is a huge achievement, but in your workplaces, with the apprenticeship levy, etc., and any training investment pot, not a budget, please make sure it is being fairly distributed throughout your workplace, because goodness knows that pool of talent, and I'll come on to EDI in a minute. The Learning and Work Institute argues that behind the chop and change of public policy on skills, there has not been enough focus on employer investment in skills and the use of skills as a whole. And this should be part of a long-term plan. It would be really handy if we had political parties who took long-term gain, those long-term visions. Short-termism is killing this country. Reversing these trends with additional employer investment, it argues, could provide training for 1 million more people each year. As we all know, this is not only about quantity, it is about quality too. Because if we are not training people throughout their careers, then how are you going to get competent people who then become the tutors for the people in future? And this is decades and decades and decades of erosion and cutting back, etc. And by the time people get to an age where they think, well, they might actually sort of change career and become tutors, etc., invariably they're sort of too done in. So this is data from the Employers Skills Survey 2022, discussed in a recent report by CIPD, which delves into the quality of training that employees receive. They spell more worrying impacts for the wider skills gap we have. The research noted that these headline figures on training participation also mask worrying trends in training intensity, i.e. the amount of time spent and training quality. The chart shows a number of days that trainees spend in training in each of the 4 UK nations in 2011 and in 2022. And trainees across all 4 nations spent fewer days training than they did in 2011. Furthermore, much of the training does not occur in organisations. Much of the training that does occur in organisations, is focused on health and safety and induction training. Now, breaking this training down by type, the 3 common types of training provided were job-specific, 84%, health and safety, 71%, and basic induction training, 64%. Whilst obviously we would endorse and agree with the crucial importance of compliance and health and safety legislation, and that employers are provided with adequate and good induction, but this training has very little impact on skills level overall or tackling the skills gap. Coming back around to structural shifts, global challenges and future skills needs we have already discussed. Falling investment in skills, inconsistent skills policy and long-standing shortfalls in the UK's skills are holding the UK back on key critical factors: economic growth, business success, future adaptation and individual opportunity. I had a meeting with the CEO probably about 5 years ago now, one of the large service providers, who said to me, he said, we've been asked to bid for a piece of work worth multi-million pounds. He said, If you could just give me a 2-minute... Well, dear. Anyway, I've started, so I'll finish. It's only lunch afterwards. Who needs lunch? But this is the CEO very openly, honestly said, he said, we cannot even put the bid in, Linda. He said, because if by any chance we won it, I haven't got the competent people to fulfil it. How can organisations get themselves into that position that you're turning away business? Outrageous. So anyway, I've got to speak very, very quickly now. Andy Haldane, writing in the FT only the other week, argues that one barrier to employer investment is a collective action problem. No one wants to act alone, and so it's cheaper and easier for organisations to free ride on others' efforts, bring in new people with skills rather than investing in existing staff. And this is ultimately self-defeating. The whistle's going to blow. I know it is. Right, I know it is. Right, opportunity and balance. It's a burning platform. It's overlaid by demographic shifts happening in our nations and challenges of failing policy and failing investment. Next. Our key areas, significant for workplace and facilities management. Here are the broad insight priorities that we as an institute are looking at, and this is where the opportunities are. There are huge opportunities, etc., but we cannot optimise those opportunities. Jenny, I know you wrote a lot of script here, but I'm freewheeling it now because I'm getting nervous and my pulse is racing. I'm waiting for the shepherd's hook to go around my neck. Anyway, so there's lots of opportunities, but we really need to skill up. Development goals, well-being, yes, done all that. Experts on megatrends, and don't take it from me. Last year, our 30 years report identified 3 megatrends that I hope you can hear this at the back. I will say that nothing worse than when people at the front speaking very, very quickly because you need to enunciate your words. Sorry, it's speed talking at the moment. So the 3 megatrends were putting people, planet and profits on the same footing. Yes, obviously. Embedding workplace strategy and smart buildings as intelligent assistants. Each of these represent a huge opportunity, but there's a skills and knowledge gap, as Sunil Shah and Gordon Mitchell and Nigel Oseland have not recently identified, they have identified. I'm waiting for the door to open beneath my feet. Picture in the sector, last output, where am I on there? So Outlook, obviously we produce an Outlook survey every year and we encourage people to get on with it and fill it in because obviously it is the evidence from those Outlook surveys can help us influence people in Whitehall. Not that they'll be there for much longer, but we can influence people at Whitehall. They're just being Purdue, whatever it is, when there's sort of general elections coming up. Right, number 5. Here it is. Really no excuse, alternative. There is an alternative. Upskill, reskill, get some skills for you, your teams, your family. I've tried it for 31 years when my son failed miserably, but anyway. Remedy number 1, where are we? I hope this goes without saying, and it's number 1. Everybody get involved in the profession, upskill now in data technology, sustainability and workplace strategy. Read what's available for employers, make sure necessary skills, but ascertain the skills that you might already have. You might have some sort of latent skills sitting there, and they're bursting to get out. So go to your HR people, your L&D people, and ask them to undertake a skills survey, not as a stick to sort of try and oust people out, but to see whether or not you can get some more value-add work from them. Where are we now? A standard setter, yes, we are one of those. We're 4 things to the marketplace, and key is our professional standards. We're going into a skills survey ourselves as a professional body this year. Please, if anybody's interested, please speak to me afterwards. I'll be on oxygen because I'm sort of running out of it out here. So I'll just nod. So just leave me your card or zap me, whatever people do nowadays. So we will be reviewing our standards next year to reflect the current future skill needs. Where are we? Jenny, how much do I need to talk here? So I've drawn on a lot. I've done that one. Yeah, drawn a lot of research today. Yeah, I have drawn a lot of research today. Yes, fact. That is a fact. I have drawn a lot of research today. So that's not my opinion. That is fact. That's that. According to The Economist, it's clear. There's one thing, a simple argument for diversity. Now, this is absolutely clear. I'm literally on the last second here. EDI you cannot underestimate the importance of it. So if there's one clear, simple argument for diversity, it is this: the simple reason for businesses and their shareholders to care about recruiting people from a broad range of backgrounds is they want the most able people, and diversity should be a spur for looking far and wide for talent. And we have got to do something about levelling up this nation and having a fair and just society for all going forward. We were part of research with a lot of other professional bodies undertaken by the Young Foundation, which has identified where we currently are. So there's much work to be done, and we are producing a press notice very, very shortly. I thought we were hoping to do it today so we could bring it to you. It's not available. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks to say this was a general finding across lots of different professions. So it's not just about FM, but also what we as an institute must do about ourselves internally and our members and the wider industry. I haven't painted the rosiest picture, but there you go. It's about skills, and it's a really, really, really bad thing. Do you know what? I heard a statistic the other day, and I've got to check this out because I think it's astonishing. This was from Deloitte, and they do a State of the State report. I wrote it down, so it must be true. They said, since the pandemic, 35% of young people are not actually going to school. Now think about that. That's a huge percentage of young people who, since the pandemic, just see absolutely no point in going to school. My friends, this is really serious. So anything you can do, any questions you can ask in your own localities to find out whether or not there's a grain of truth in this. If there's not, let me know. If there is, get worried. What are these young people going to do when they're 15 years of age? They will be unemployable. Unemployable. Even years ago, when it was the CSEs were in place, etc., at least people would get to 15 and leave with something, etc. But if we have got 35% of young people not seeing any need to go to school, my goodness me, as I say, and the trouble is, I actually spent sleepless nights trying to read all through this, just going through the research, because it's so worrying, because it's so big, it's so vast. And the trouble is, when it gets so big and so vast, you're thinking, oh, I haven't got the skill set, I haven't got the capability, I haven't got the influence to do anything about it, and you just hunker back down. But each and every one of us can influence something. We can sort of start asking those questions. We really, really must. Where are we? Therefore, I'm 5. I'm there. You're there. Yes, career choice. Obviously, we do have a programme with career choice. Our Rising FMs are doing a fantastic job with this. I encourage all of our volunteers, or anybody else who's not a volunteer, please volunteer and get into schools and talk to the young generation about a fantastic career in this wonderful profession. I'm still going. I'm not going to talk about that. Friends, this is my final. This is, friends, where am I there? Oh, yeah, there I am. There, thank you. Thank you.